This is Jason Spangler with Wagner Meters. Today we're going to take a deeper dive into ASTM F2170 and really understanding some of the nuances. So a few of the things about ASTM F2170 is, even though people are doing relative humidity testing, I still have questions where people ask or don't understand that relative humidity testing really is the crux of ASTM F2170. And so when we look at it, ASTM F2170 is the technical specification for how relative humidity testing in situ or in concrete should be conducted. Yes, we as a manufacturer are able to give you guidelines on how we would want our product to be used within that specification, but at the end of the day, I like to say that F2170 really is the Bible, if you will, for how in situ relative humidity testing is conducted. So if we look at the standards specifically and take a little bit deeper dive on it, a couple of things that we see. One is we need to have a specific number of tests that it calls out. So many of you may know this, a lot of you don't. F2170 calls out that you should be doing 3 tests first 1,000 square feet and 1 test for every 1,000 square feet thereafter. Some people don't understand why we should be doing that many. Well, the biggest reason for doing that many is because we're trying to look at variations across the floor, and especially on new construction, 1,000 square feet of a 4 to 6 inch slab is about a truckload of concrete. So we're trying to determine if there's any variances from truckload to truckload of concrete. The other thing that ASTM says about placement of sensors is that you should have a sensor placed within 3 feet of every exterior wall. So if you have a rectangular building, theoretically, again, you should have 3 tests for the first 1,000, 1 test for every 1,000 after that. But of that total number of tests, you would or should have 4 tests, 1 on each exterior wall within 3 feet to be able to get a gauge of what's going on in that area. The other thing that ASTM calls out specifically is the depth of measurement. So the depth of measurement, if you have a slab that's drying from one side, you want to measure at a 40% depth. So if you have a 5-inch slab, you're going to need to drill into the slab 2 inches. The reason for that is because that specific depth allows you to understand or predict what's going to happen on the surface once you fully encapsulate it with a finished floor product. So the other nuance is that if you have a slab that's drying from 2 sides, so this type of slab is going to be an elevated slab that is structural in nature, where you have concrete at the bottom when you look up and obviously concrete on the top when you look down. Those slabs, because the drying curve is different, is only going to be at 20% of the slab thickness. So if you happen to have a structural slab that is 5 inches thick overall, you're only going to drill into it about 1 inch. Another thing, the conditions of the space that you are testing in. The ASTM standard calls out that you need to have testing, or the environment that you're testing in, at service conditions. My easiest way to say that to people is for people to wrap their head around it is that if you have a TJ Maxx here and you have a Ross right next door to it, one of them's open, one of them's in the process of being built out. If you were taking if you took a thermohygrometer to measure the relative humidity and temperature in the environment and walked over to the fully functioning business and took a measurement, that is service conditions. That are the conditions that are being maintained in that environment once or while there are customers walking through the door. Theoretically, you should have the same conditions in your testing environment. People ask, why is that? Well, at the end of the day, we're measuring relative humidity. And so it's humidity relative to temperature. So to get the most accurate indication of the moisture conditions or relative humidity in that slab at that 40 or 20% depth, you're looking at a situation where you need to have those temperatures that are appropriate. Those are some of the nuances of the test itself. I still have a lot of people that will call me and talk to me about the amount of time. So the amount of time is you need to have service conditions for 48 hours. Once you have service conditions for 48 hours, that is the outside parameter. And then the inside, as far as when I say inside, once you install the sensor needs to be in the concrete for 24 hours prior to taking a reading that is actionable. Okay? I still have people that think because it used to be 72 hours, I still have people that think 72 hours. So again, takeaway, the test only takes 24 hours once you install the sensor to get an actionable result. Other piece that the ASTM standard talks about is the specifics of the equipment that are out there, and a couple of things that have changed from early on. And when I talk early on, 2010, 2012, is the fact that there's very specific requirements of every piece of equipment that's out there now. So you need to have a hole that is drilled no bigger than 3/4 of an inch. No bigger than 3/4 of an inch diameter. Specifications for the placement of the sensor need to be no more than 5/8 of an inch from the bottom of the hole. The other piece is you need to have isolation rings that are isolating that small pocket of air at the bottom of that hole to get the best readings. As you can see, the rapidrh L6 system and any of our predecessors to that meet that criteria to a T and have since the beginning. What I hear is that when I have equipment reads differently, or I don't always get, if I have somebody come in and they read one system and another system, they don't read exactly the same. What I can tell you is, and I'll leave you with this, the ASTM F6 committee, which dictates this standard, amongst others, but this standard specifically, did precision and bias testing on all of the pieces of all of the pieces of relative humidity testing equipment that are out there, or at least the big ones that are used in the flooring environment. They found that if you use the equipment consistently amongst all brands, that you will find that the measurement that you get from every piece of equipment is going to be within 2 to 3% of each other. Very reproducible. And so your question becomes, how do you want to spend your time, money, and effort? If you use a reusable system, it ends up being a situation where you have to go through the process of recalibrating or doing calibration verifications every 30 days. You need to make sure that you're sending the equipment in to the manufacturer at least once a year. That is per the ASTM standard. So do you want to use your time and money doing that? Or do you just want to have a piece of equipment like the rapidrh L6 that's a single usage product? It comes with a NIST certificate of calibration. You put it into the hole, read it as many times as you want before you make a decision on how to move forward, and know that you have everything that you need to document that the product that you used was accurate.